the final book of the Bible, actually, by Moses in the Bible. But still.
Well, it's actually the final book of the Bible for Jews, so you could say that, like, yeah.
Known as the Torah, the fifth book of the Bible overall. But the final one written by Moses, this is
Torah.
No,
wait, we
that's
already
not
passed
its
through that?
name.
Oh.
You're kind of holding me up in traffic.
We gotta get the suspense up for the audience.
Okay, let me just say it. Deuteronomy! There we go. Which actually means second law in Hebrew. You'll understand that later. So, the book of Deuteronomy contains a repeat of all of the Mosaic laws.
Oh, a repeat? This means we gotta repeat every single book beforehand! Okay, so...
This does it for us.
The book of Genesis meant beginning. The book of Exodus meant departure. The book of Leviticus meant instruction. The book of Numbers meant quantity or value. Now, this book means message because it is one really, really, really long message. This is essentially the end of Numbers. In all reality, Numbers and Deuteronomy are basically the same book, but Deuteronomy is just the end of Numbers, except it's
more of an actual story.
Yeah, let's just say that they took the end of Numbers and extended it about as long as all of the digits in pi. Like 3.14, whatever garbage. Somehow people can memorize that.
Anyway, so it contains a repeat of all of that stuff, plus an account of the death of Moses. It is the only book to record Moses' death.
The only one, man. So has Moses' body just never been found? This is the only recording of his death. Like, just him dying. We don't even know where he's buried. This is some creepy stuff.
The children who had left
Did you not pay attention to what I said?
The children who had left Egypt were adults when Deuteronomy was written. They were quite ready to battle for the promised land.
If you're wondering what happened to the old generation, go watch either our Leviticus or Numbers videos. But basically, they screwed up God's covenant real bad, and the journey was so disastrous that God was just like, you guys are going to get screwed for the next 40 years. And then it's going to all be for nothing because you'll die at the end of those 40 years. That's basically why it took them so long to get to the promised land. It should have taken them like 2 weeks or something. This means that Numbers and Deuteronomy would not exist, but oh well.
Deuteronomy repeats the laws in other books, specifically directing it to this new generation.
So it's kind of like Reboot the Next Generation? Because, like, Reboot, that old CGI show from the 1990s that was super groundbreaking. They basically took that show and made it into a Netflix original and updated it, except it was completely different, but at the same time, it was basically the same thing. This is essentially that.
This video would be great for Reboot the Next Generation fans.
Well, actually, Reboot the original fans.
Just read.
Okay. So, by the end of Leviticus, Moses is giving a series of speeches explaining the Torah to the new generation of Israelites, very much ready to enter the Promised Land, or TPL. Unfortunately, some people could take that in a very wrong context and call that toilet paper land, but that's not where they were entering. It's the Promised Land. It still could be, it could be full of a lot of toilet paper, but toilet paper didn't exist back then. Now, of course, if this was 2020, then this would be great for every single person who didn't have a stable mental mind because everyone thought that toilet paper was the right way to fix COVID. Still though, point is, they're ready to enter the Promised Land, hopefully full of high quality toilet paper. So let's see what Moses had to say before they entered in. Deuteronomy's structure is split up accurately with Moses' speech. Basically, think real-time slow motion in like any single 3D game on Steam you have ever downloaded, like BeamNG Drive or Fall Guys or something, except like it actually follows the game. I don't know, like when you make an epic move in Fall Guys, or when you crash your car so hard it immediately explodes in BeamNG Drive. Me and David have watched hours of YouTube videos on both games enough to know that. Yep. That's enough.
By the way, make sure to subscribe and like this video and hit the notification bell and comment.
Oh, that was actually pretty good.
Don't hit me again. That actually really hurt.
Yeah, make sure to do all that, even if you have to hit one of your siblings to do that.
The eye. Number 1, Moses' opening speech, chapters 1 through 11. Moses starts by recapping the story of the Exodus generation, 1 to 3. And then
In chapters 1 to 3.
I said that already.
Basically, he recaps how God led them out of the Egyptian kingdom. So he basically tells them about how the Prince of Egypt went down, the production of that movie. Then he tells them about how it was all mucked up by DreamWorks never making one single film as good as that ever again. I mean, them getting to Mount Sinai and destroying the covenant, and then them going through the wilderness in numbers and then just dying off.
And contrasts God's grace to Israel's rebellion. He then calls on Israel to be more faithful to God, chapters 4 to 11, including the Shema,
Deuteronomy
chapter 6, verses 4 and 5.
Deuteronomy.
Shema in Hebrew means not only to listen, but to act on what you hear.
Hey, wait. Deuteronomy 6, 4 and 5 NLT version.
Since it's his favorite one, of course. Just so
Listen.
you're wondering, my favorite is ESV, English Standard Version.
Listen, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength.
Well said. Number 2, Moses'
I have this mic for a reason. Let me read number 2. Number 2, Moses' collection of laws in chapters 12 through 26. So basically in this section, Moses in detail describes the laws laid down on how they should live in the promised land. So this is the CEO of DreamWorks in 1998 talking to all the employees like, guys, this is what you're going to do to make The Prince of Egypt the best film it can be. He describes laws on how Israel should worship God in chapters 12 through 16 to A. So basically important stuff like how to pray, how to treat each other, how to act in the presence of God, how to make good Christian movies, not unlike all of the garbage we get today.
Like, just so you're wondering,
God's Not
16a
Dead,
means
or
until the first half of the chapter.
anything from the Kendricks brothers. You know, you gotta make good Christian movies, like I Can Only Imagine, or Breakthrough, or anything from Mount Zion. He describes how Israel's leaders should govern the land in chapters 16b to 18. So basically stuff like allow people to have freedom on how they express their religion. Don't oppress anybody. Make sure to rule by the laws of God. Make sure to check how you're doing with the Bible. Don't be like Donald Trump. Be like Barack Obama. Although many people during his presidency thought he was Muslim, which is weird. He doesn't look anything Muslim to me. Does he to you?
He was born in Kenya, so I don't really care.
Fair. He describes laws on civil life, so basically like how God should be implemented into just normal civilian life. They should not have a civil war because nobody can really recreate Captain America Civil War. Not happening. And he describes laws on social justice. So basically, in chapters 19 to 26, he describes laws on life, normal life, civil life, and social justice. Basically, like courtroom drama stuff, medical stuff, I assume, for civil life. So, like Grey's Anatomy, but it's a good show. Social justice, all of the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, but if they actually got somewhere. Yeah.
And finally, we'll say this together. 3, 2, 1, go. Moses' final speech and death. Chapters 27 to 34.
Dave, I'm not feeling so good.
He's fine. Moses ends by giving the Israelites their ultimatum. Listen and obey to be blessed, or rebel and be exiled. He laments about how it's inevitable that Israel's going to rebel, which is the sad part of all of this. Because despite all the laws they've been given, he's been with them for over like a century now. He knows how this is going to play out. But still says there's hope that God will save them. After this, the people finally, after 5 books of waiting, technically 4, they enter the promised land. Moses dies on Mount Nebo after getting to see the place he might have gone to but couldn't. And the Torah, the first part of the Protestant Bible to us, and to Jews, the conclusion, the first 5 books by Moses, the 5 books of Moses to Judaism, concludes with a lot left unanswered. But then again, that's why we have 61 other books in this whole thing called the Bible, so that we can, maybe get some answers to those questions.
I'm back. Just blacked out there. I'm fine.
Like I said he would be.
There are indeed a lot left unanswered from the conclusion of the Torah. Like, how is God actually going to repair his relationship with the people? Because they entered the promised land, but there's no telling if they'll actually do well in there or not. Will Satan come back and just make everything worse once again? What's the future going to look like for just generally humans, as now that they've entered the promised land, a new era of the covenant has started up for the humans? What are they going to do? Like, how is this all going to play out? That's pretty much impossible to figure out right now. It's going to be impossible to figure out for Jews because they are never going to discover the existence of all of these other books in the Bible. Pretty much.
We can teach you though. But for now, that was the book of Deuteronomy.
And that is the conclusion of the Torah, an epic collection of the start of the universe all the way to practically the start of modern humanity, now that we think about it. If no humans had ever entered the promised land and gotten to restart the covenant relationship with God, I think it's safe to say that we as humans wouldn't really exist today. Like, just think about it.
Smart words to end on. Once again, make sure to subscribe, like, notify, and comment. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Also, thanks to our Jewish viewers. I hope you enjoyed this. Please stick around because there are actually more books to the Bible. Did you know that? Did you know that?
Well, it's called the Torah.